Welcome everyone to the Diary of a Cameraman. The last time I introduced us to Adobe Photoshop. Today I'm making us understand the difference between a raw footage and a JPEG footage in Adobe Photoshop. Okay, before we go into Adobe Photoshop, let me get a raw image and a JPEG image. Okay, I'm looking out for a raw and a JPEG footage. Okay. Okay, this is actually a raw and a JPEG footage here. These are different images here. This is a maternity shoot I did some months ago. Actually the couples have actually given birth, and I'm so happy I shot these pictures. I actually shot these pictures when my boss traveled to Lagos State, Nigeria. So it was like, Ebuka, you're going to take the shoot today. I need something amazing. I was like, I said, okay, sir. So, and the family were actually glad. They chose more than they actually wished to choose because of how nice the pictures were. So today we are going to be looking at the difference between a raw footage and a JPEG footage. So these two images here. Okay, let me make my icon bigger. These two images are actually the same. As you can see, there are two images here and they are the same. If you look very well here, this is 7117.jpg and this is 7117.cr2, that is raw. So they're actually the same, but there's a difference between the two images, which I will make us understand now before we dive into importing into Photoshop. The first difference between, if you also hover this picture, you see it here. You will see some features of how it was shot. You can see dates. It was taken on the 6th, or it was taken on 24th of 6th, 2024. That is January, February, March, April, May, June. It was taken on the month of June, 24th of June, 2024, at exactly 3:32 p.m. The camera model, it was shot with EOS 5D Mark IV. It was shot with Canon 5D Mark IV camera. It's a very nice camera. Then the ISO speed, it was shot in 100 ISO, f1.3.2 f-stop, and exposure time, that is the shutter speed, was shot in 125 second per second shutter speed. So it was actually a studio session picture. So I made use of AD600 as my key light, then SK100 as my fill light. I do not actually, and AD100 as my backlight to actually have this image. Then down here is a miler. I placed the miler on the floor for that. So what gave me this stuff you see in the background is the miler. I bounced my AD100 in the miler and gave me that amazing miler effect. So it gave me this amazing miler. Effect you can see here too. So it was almost in all the pictures. You can also see it here, right? So it's actually a maternity shoot. So now we are going to look at the difference between, like I told you, between a raw and a JPEG footage. So if I right click this image and go to properties, you'll see type of file, CR2 file. The C there stands for Canon, the arrow stands for RAW. So it's a Canon RAW 2 file. It's a RAW file. Now let's check out for the properties here. It has a size of 31.6 megabytes, a it has the size of 31.6 megabyte. Now if you come to the other image, that same image, and go to properties, you see type of file, JPG file, and that's 6.59 megabyte, approximately 7 megabyte. So that is to tell you that a raw file carries more space than a JPEG file. So that is the first difference between a JPEG file and a raw file. A raw file carries more space, carries more data than a JPEG file. The second difference between a JPEG file and a raw file is that a raw file carries more details, maintains the camera quality, a raw file maintains the picture quality more than a JPEG file. So many photographers out there are always advised to shoot in RAW because they will retain more picture quality while editing than the JPEG picture itself. So I prefer shooting in RAW. Over the years I've been in the world of photography, I've always shot my pictures in RAW, despite the fact that it consumes, it actually makes my card fill up fast. But I prefer using multiple cards to shoot an event that will make my picture have more quality than using just one card, because I want to preserve space and to have more pictures and not have a good quality kind of pictures. That does not mean that a JPEG images does not have good quality, no, but it also have good quality, but you can't compare the qualities that the picture qualities that a raw file retains than a JPEG file. That is why it is always advisable for a creative to shoot in RAW. So these are the two differences between a raw file and a JPEG file. Another difference between a raw file and a JPEG file is that when you open your image, when you open a raw file to Photoshop, it goes directly to the camera raw folder for you to make some adjustments before you import it directly to Photoshop. But when you open your JPEG file in Photoshop, it goes directly to the interface of your Photoshop. Let's try it now. Let's open the first picture here with the raw file with Photoshop. So I'll right click and open with Adobe Photoshop 2023. So it's Adobe Photoshop 2023 is actually loading. So Photoshop, Adobe was created in 1990. Wow, Adobe has actually been there for decades. It's loading. So this is my camera raw template. Are you seeing this is a raw file, and it's already dedicating a Canon EOS 5D Mark IV. So shot with Canon. Now your raw file has told you the camera it was shot with. Yeah, that also told you the ISO is shot ISO 100. I shot the 50mm prime lens, aperture rate 3.2 and 155 shutter speeds per second. So here now we have, this is my raw file template, where I have to make some necessary adjustments before going into Photoshop to make my final editing. So here now I can choose to come into my basic. We have the exposure, we play around with it. We have the highlight, we have the shadows are different. We have the white, black, we have the texture, clarity, which will make us understand in subsequent tutorials how to have a balance images in your camera raw. We have the curve layout, we have the details, we have the color mixture. As you can see, we went about the hue, saturation, and luminance, like we talked about. I'll make us understand the difference between a hue panel, a saturation panel, and a luminance panel. We have here the color grading area, we have the geometry area, we have the effect area, and we have the calibration area. So when I'm done with every adjustment I choose to, let me just make a little adjustment. Let me reduce my contrast, reduce my highlight, then increase my shadow a little bit, reduce my white, reduce my black, increase my enhance, and I click open. Takes a while. See, reading camera raw format. So I've actually opened it in Adobe Photoshop. That is the image for you. So let me go back to that same image, and right click my JPEG file and click open with Adobe Photoshop, and you see it has actually opened directly to Adobe Photoshop. That is to make you understand the difference. That's another difference between a raw file and a JPEG file. A raw file opens directly on your raw template before you can open directly on your Photoshop. So you have for you to make some adjustments, balancing of colors, balancing of exposures, or balancing of your dehancer and so on, or your vignette before you open directly on your Photoshop. But if it is a JPEG file, you just have to open directly on your Photoshop. You can also, from opening your JPEG file, go directly to your raw this thing. Like if I've opened the JPEG file of this image, if I want to open the raw template for this image, so I can make some raw adjustment before I start other manipulation of this image, I can come to my file menu. Then here you see your camera raw filter. When I click my camera raw filter, so do not take me to, see, that's taking me to what? That's taking me to my camera raw template. So I cannot make my adjustments. I can make any adjustment I wish to make depending on what I want to get before, and I click OK, and it has made the adjustment on my image. So this is the difference between a raw file and a JPEG file. So it's always advisable for photographers to shoot in RAW. You do that in your camera setting, which I've talked about when I made us understand some features and mix up a Canon camera. I taught us on how to set your camera to shoot in RAW if you're a Canon shooter, and I've not actually shot with Nikon for a long period of time, so I have not really understood. But Nikon, all cameras have both RAW and JPEG, all depending on what you want to achieve. So this is the introduction to understanding camera RAW and camera JPEG file footage. Thank you so much for staying with me to the end of today's tutorial. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell so you can get subsequent tutorials in this channel, and see you next time in the diary of a cameraman. Thank you.